Shame is one of the most insidious and misunderstood forces that silently governs human behavior. Unlike guilt, which tells us we did something wrong, shame tells us that we are wrong. It penetrates identity, embedding itself into the very core of who we believe we are. When it comes to money, shame can be catastrophic, quietly undermining financial well-being, decision-making, and opportunity. People who struggle with finances often do not simply suffer from a lack of knowledge or resources. They suffer from the psychological weight of feeling unworthy, incapable, or permanently flawed. This emotional burden colors every financial decision, from the way they spend money to the way they invest, negotiate, and even think about the future. Shame converts ordinary setbacks into perceived personal failures, transforming financial hurdles into internalized narratives of inadequacy. Over time, these narratives crystallize, creating psychological barriers as real as any economic obstacle. The roots of financial shame often begin in childhood, in subtle ways that leave lasting imprints. Observing parents stress over bills, hide debt, or engage in secretive money behaviors can teach children that financial struggles are a reflection of character. Social conditioning amplifies this effect. Society often equates success with wealth and poverty with moral or personal failure. Children internalize these cultural cues, learning to associate self-worth with financial competence. Even as adults, these early lessons continue to shape behavior. When a person faces financial difficulty, the reaction is rarely neutral. It is laden with emotional self-judgment. This psychological pattern creates a feedback loop in which every poor financial outcome reinforces a sense of unworthiness, making individuals more hesitant to engage proactively with their finances. Shame's psychological influence is pervasive because it hijacks the brain's threat detection system. When financial inadequacy is perceived as a reflection of self-worth, the brain reacts as if under social attack. Neuroimaging studies reveal that shame activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain and social rejection. This means that money stress does not simply cause worry. It triggers an emotional and physiological response akin to danger. The amygdala, responsible for fear responses, becomes highly active, while the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thought and long-term planning, is subdued. Decisions are no longer guided by strategic reasoning, but by instinctive avoidance and emotional self-preservation. This neurological pattern explains why people avoid opening overdue bills, postponing budgeting, or refusing to negotiate salaries. Avoidance temporarily reduces emotional discomfort, but the consequence is a long-term stagnation in financial health. The cognitive toll of shame extends beyond avoidance. Chronic financial shame consumes mental bandwidth, leaving less capacity for critical thinking, planning, and problem-solving. Humans have a limited pool of cognitive resources, and shame monopolizes a significant portion of them. This mental overload makes decision-making slower and more error-prone, creating a vicious cycle. The more a person feels incapable, the more difficult it becomes to think clearly about money. Simple tasks, such as comparing insurance plans or understanding investment options, become emotionally charged and cognitively taxing. Behavioral economists have identified similar patterns in scarcity research, demonstrating that mental load from perceived deficits reduces attention and executive function, often resulting in short-term, reactive choices. Shame acts in the same way, narrowing the individual's focus to immediate relief rather than long-term financial strategy. Shame also distorts time perception. Individuals who experience financial shame perceive the future as threatening rather than promising. They tend to prioritize short-term survival over long-term gain, often making decisions that alleviate immediate discomfort while undermining future security. For instance, an individual may take a high-interest loan to pay a small debt because the relief is immediate, despite understanding that it worsens financial stability in the long run. Emotional brain processes, dominated by fear and anticipation of judgment, overpower rational analysis. This skewed perception of time prevents forward planning, saving, or investing, effectively keeping individuals trapped in cycles of scarcity and stress. Another way shame keeps people broke is by reducing self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to achieve desired outcomes. Financial shame convinces individuals that they are inherently incapable of managing money, regardless of evidence to the contrary. This lack of confidence discourages initiative, risk-taking, and engagement with financial systems. People may avoid negotiating salaries, applying for promotions, or investing in education because they anticipate failure or ridicule. Even when opportunities present themselves, shame fosters a paralyzing fear that makes taking action feel too risky. The psychological barrier created by shame is more formidable than economic limitations. It can prevent people from seizing growth opportunities that are fully within their control. Shame also impacts social behavior around money. It isolates individuals, preventing them from seeking advice, mentorship, or assistance. Social support is crucial for financial growth, as it provides guidance, accountability, and shared learning. However, the fear of judgment and the desire to conceal perceived inadequacy lead many to withdraw from these networks. This isolation perpetuates financial ignorance and reinforces negative self-perceptions. When an individual does not discuss money openly, they miss out on strategies, resources, and insights that could improve their situation. Shame thus creates both emotional and practical barriers, compounding the effects of financial hardship. A particularly destructive manifestation of financial shame is its relationship with impulsive or compensatory spending. People often attempt to alleviate feelings of inadequacy or social inferiority through purchases, viewing consumer goods as temporary solutions to internal deficits. Buying a luxury item or indulging in experiences may provide momentary relief from shame, but usually exacerbates financial strain, leading to deeper cycles of guilt and embarrassment. The temporary emotional relief is quickly replaced by renewed self-criticism, creating a feedback loop that undermines long-term financial planning. This pattern illustrates the deeply intertwined nature of emotion and financial behavior. Shame can also lead to the undervaluation of one's labor and expertise. Individuals influenced by financial shame frequently underprice services, avoid negotiations, and accept substandard compensation. Their perception of unworthiness translates directly into missed income, stalled career growth, and stagnating entrepreneurial ventures. Psychological research shows that self-perception strongly influences bargaining behavior and risk tolerance. Those who feel inadequate are less likely to assert their value. The result is a self-reinforcing system where shame suppresses earnings and low earnings, in turn, amplify feelings of inadequacy. The cycle can persist for years or even decades, leaving capable individuals trapped in roles or financial situations beneath their potential. The internalization of financial shame often begins early in life and is reinforced culturally. Children growing up in households where money is a source of conflict or secrecy frequently absorb beliefs equating scarcity with personal failure. Cultural messaging further intensifies this effect, promoting the notion that wealth equals moral and social superiority while poverty equals deficiency. Adults internalize these messages, which influence risk tolerance, financial ambition, and the willingness to seek help. This combination of personal history and social conditioning produces deeply entrenched cognitive biases, shaping how individuals interpret financial setbacks, successes, and opportunities. Shame also significantly affects decision-making under uncertainty. People experiencing financial shame tend to interpret ambiguous situations negatively, assuming the worst outcomes. This negativity bias is psychologically protective in the short term, helping avoid embarrassment or exposure, but it impedes rational assessment and risk evaluation. When faced with investment decisions, career changes, or major purchases, individuals influenced by shame may default to overly conservative or risk-averse. Ironically, this overcaution often prevents growth, reinforcing the original perception of inadequacy and creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. In addition, financial shame can distort moral and ethical judgment. Stress induced by shame often narrows ethical flexibility, leading people to rationalize behaviors they would otherwise avoid. For instance, individuals may take shortcuts, lie about income, or conceal resources to avoid judgment. These decisions, made under the duress of shame, temporarily alleviate emotional pressure, but can result in long-term financial or relational harm. Psychological studies indicate that emotional stress can significantly influence ethical decision-making, highlighting how shame does not only affect perception but also concrete behavior with material consequences. Shame also erodes long-term financial planning skills. Creating a budget, investing for retirement, or pursuing entrepreneurial opportunities requires a degree of confidence and emotional stability. Financial shame destabilizes both, leaving individuals focused on immediate survival. By consuming cognitive and emotional resources, shame prevents strategic thinking, reducing the likelihood of disciplined saving, thoughtful investment, or calculated risk-taking. This effect is particularly dangerous because it undermines the very behaviors that could break the cycle of scarcity and reinforce self-worth. Another psychological dimension of shame is its impact on relationships. Money is one of the leading causes of conflict among couples, and shame amplifies these issues. Individuals may hide debt, exaggerate income, or avoid conversations about finances, leading to mistrust and misalignment in joint decision-making. Shame fosters secrecy and defensiveness, which in turn reduces collaborative problem-solving and weakens relational support systems. Because emotional and financial support are tightly linked, shame indirectly constrains opportunities for wealth accumulation that might otherwise arise through cooperation and shared resources. The influence of shame also extends to career decisions and entrepreneurship. People who feel unworthy or inadequate may avoid pursuing promotions, higher-paying roles, or entrepreneurial ventures due to fear of failure or judgment. Even when they achieve success, the internal narrative of inadequacy may persist, causing them to sabotage progress subconsciously. They might delay critical decisions, underprice their work, or retreat from visibility. The psychological impact is profound. Shame converts ambition into hesitation, risk into fear, and opportunity into threat. Financial shame often manifests through a cycle of procrastination. When a person feels ashamed of their financial situation, they are more likely to delay essential tasks, such as reviewing credit reports, reconciling accounts, or seeking professional advice. Procrastination provides immediate relief from emotional discomfort, yet it worsens long-term outcomes. The psychological mechanism here is simple. Shame creates a desire to hide from perceived judgment, and avoiding financial tasks reduces exposure to scrutiny. The paradox is clear actions intended to shield the self from emotional pain perpetuate the material conditions that cause shame. Shame's effect on learning is equally detrimental. Financial literacy is essential for economic growth, yet shame discourages individuals from seeking knowledge. Asking questions about money, attending workshops, or consulting financial advisors may feel exposing or humiliating. Consequently, individuals miss educational opportunities that could improve their decision-making and increase income. Psychological research shows that shame interferes with curiosity and openness to feedback, two crucial ingredients for learning and growth. When people perceive learning as a threat to self-esteem rather than a pathway to empowerment, financial improvement stalls. Social comparison exacerbates the effect of shame on financial behavior. Humans naturally evaluate their standing relative to peers, and shame intensifies this process. Observing friends, colleagues, or online figures with higher income, better assets, or more financial freedom triggers feelings of inadequacy. Instead of motivating growth, these comparisons often induce despair or avoidance. Financial decisions become reactive and emotionally charged rather than rational and strategic. Social comparison combined with shame can therefore create a persistent sense of scarcity, even in the absence of material deprivation. Shame also distorts perceptions of entitlement and deservingness. Individuals burdened by financial shame may feel unworthy of wealth, success, or financial autonomy. This belief suppresses initiative, discourages negotiation, and reduces assertiveness. The psychological mechanism is rooted in internalized social norms and identity formation. When a person believes they do not deserve financial success, every decision reinforces this self-assessment, creating a barrier that is both cognitive and emotional. Over time, this internalized limitation becomes self-perpetuating, affecting behavior across career, investment, and consumption domains. Another psychological consequence of shame is hypervigilance to judgment. People concerned with financial perception often over-monitor their spending, hide their purchases, or compare themselves to others in unhealthy ways. Hypervigilance consumes cognitive and emotional resources, leaving less bandwidth for creative problem-solving, innovation, or strategic planning. Constant self-surveillance also increases stress, further impairing decision-making and perpetuating cycles of scarcity and self-reproach. Shame influences not only choices but also emotional regulation around money. Financially shamed individuals often experience heightened anxiety, fear, and frustration when managing money. These emotions, if unaddressed, influence behavioral responses, leading to impulsive spending, avoidance, or underinvestment. The psychological feedback loop is clear. Shame amplifies emotional arousal, which disrupts rational financial processing, leading to decisions that reinforce feelings of inadequacy. Over time, this cycle erodes both financial security and self-esteem. The compounding effect of shame can extend across generations. Children growing up in environments where money is a source of shame often internalize beliefs equating financial struggle with personal failure. These beliefs influence educational choices, career ambition, and financial literacy. By the time individuals reach adulthood, the psychological patterns of shame are well established, creating barriers to wealth accumulation that persist even in the presence of opportunity. The intergenerational transmission of shame demonstrates its deep psychological embedding and highlights why breaking the cycle requires both awareness and active intervention. Breaking free from the psychological constraints of shame begins with awareness and cognitive reframing. Recognizing that shame is an emotional response, not a reflection of personal value or ability, is critical. Cognitive behavioral techniques, mindfulness, and journaling can help individuals identify shame-based narratives and restructure them. For instance, replacing "I am bad with money" with "I am learning to manage money better" shifts the emotional framework from judgment to growth. Psychological research shows that reframing self-perceptions reduces the intensity of shame, increases motivation, and improves decision-making. Financial literacy and transparency are key components in overcoming shame. Knowledge provides confidence, reduces uncertainty, and empowers proactive action. Seeking mentorship or guidance, even in the presence of discomfort, fosters accountability and enhances decision-making. Psychological studies indicate that social support buffers the effects of shame by normalizing experiences, providing reassurance, and creating opportunities for collaborative problem-solving. By cultivating supportive networks, individuals can challenge internalized shame narratives and access the emotional and cognitive resources necessary for financial growth. Emotional regulation is equally crucial. Practices such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, and stress management reduce the physiological and cognitive impact of shame. A calmer nervous system enables clearer thinking, better planning, and increased willingness to take calculated risks. Over time, these practices allow individuals to decouple self-worth from financial outcomes, creating space for rational decision-making and long-term strategy. Rebuilding self-worth independent of financial status is another essential psychological intervention. By cultivating identity outside of income or material possessions, individuals reduce the intensity of shame-related responses. This shift allows for experimentation, risk-taking, and engagement with opportunities that were previously avoided. Psychology demonstrates that identity flexibility, the ability to see oneself as capable of change and growth, increases resilience and improves outcomes in both personal and financial domains. Breaking the cycle of shame also involves confronting avoidance directly. Addressing overdue bills, reviewing credit reports, and creating budgets are emotionally challenging but essential steps. Psychological research emphasizes exposure therapy principles. Repeated, controlled confrontation with feared stimuli reduces anxiety over time. Applied to finance, this approach allows individuals to desensitize themselves to the emotional pain associated with financial awareness, fostering empowerment and competence. Cultural reframing is also impactful. By rejecting societal narratives that equate wealth with moral superiority and poverty with failure, individuals can reconstruct healthier attitudes toward money. Awareness of cultural conditioning enables critical evaluation of internalized beliefs and reduces the influence of external judgment. Psychologically, this process increases autonomy, self-efficacy, and the ability to make decisions based on strategy rather than fear. Finally, cultivating gratitude and a growth mindset can buffer the psychological impact of shame. Recognizing incremental progress, valuing learning experiences, and celebrating small victories foster resilience and self-efficacy. Research in positive psychology indicates that growth-focused mindsets encourage risk-taking, persistence, and long-term planning, counteracting the stagnation induced by shame. Over time, these approaches transform financial management from a source of emotional distress into a domain of agency, competence, and opportunity. In conclusion, the psychology behind how shame keeps people broke is profound, pervasive, and multi-layered. Shame infiltrates identity, distorts perception, monopolizes cognitive resources, fosters avoidance, inhibits learning, diminishes self-efficacy, and isolates individuals socially. Its effects are amplified by cultural messaging, social comparison, and intergenerational transmission, creating persistent barriers to financial growth. Understanding the psychological mechanisms at work, the neurological, cognitive, emotional, and social factors, is essential for breaking free from the cycle. By cultivating awareness, reframing self-narratives, building financial literacy, seeking support, regulating emotion, and decoupling identity from financial outcomes, individuals can overcome shame's grip. What emerges is not just improved financial status but empowered agency, resilient self-worth, and a life in which money is a tool rather than a measure of personal failure. The journey out of financial shame is not linear or quick. It requires patience, persistence, and intentional practice. However, psychological research and anecdotal evidence converge on one conclusion. When shame is addressed, the path to financial competence, confidence, and freedom becomes achievable. Individuals can break avoidance patterns, embrace calculated risk, learn continuously, and pursue opportunities aligned with both their capabilities and aspirations. The key insight is that shame is not an inevitable barrier but a psychological filter that can be adjusted. By addressing the underlying emotions, rebuilding identity, and developing supportive habits, people can transform financial vulnerability into empowerment. In doing so, they not only improve material circumstances but also reclaim autonomy, self-esteem, and the capacity for strategic, confident financial decision-making. Shame, once recognized and addressed, loses its power to dictate behavior. Awareness creates choice, reframing creates freedom, action creates momentum. Over time, the psychological landscape shifts, allowing individuals to engage with money from a place of competence and confidence rather than fear. What once felt like insurmountable internal obstacles become manageable challenges. Emotional regulation, social support, literacy, and self-worth reconstruction collectively dismantle the cycle that previously kept capable, intelligent individuals financially constrained. This psychological transformation ultimately allows for sustained growth, strategic decision-making, and the cultivation of wealth not merely as a resource, but as a reflection of agency and mastery.